Hello, welcome to Why Not Both. My name is Pam Schaefer, and I'm a musician and therapist in Los Angeles. Why Not Both is all about how our multiple passions inform our identity, and this season we are brought to you by Under the Radar magazine and produced by Laura Studeris. If you like what you hear, please make sure to like us and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform and come spend time with us on social media. We are at WNB the podcast, and that is both on Instagram and on Twitter. For this episode, we got to chat with Shalita Grant all about really everything. It was an absolute delight, and I wish that I could do this podcast every single week with her. I hope that you enjoy our interview.
I'm having coffee too, so sometimes I'll be like, yeah. But
Excellent. Yeah. I was like, welcome to Why Not Both, where I too am drinking coffee because it's my lifeblood.
Girl, we got so much in common. Drinking the same drinks, the same everything. It's great.
This makes me happy. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for your time, especially during that was like gestures broadly to everything. It's been a time. Yeah, normally it's funny in the before times I would always start by being like, oh, what do you do? And what's a better question to ask? And now I'm just like, no, I'll just start with that. Like, what's a better question to ask than what do you do right now?
Yeah. Okay. So I think a good question is, how are you pandemicking? So for me,
love it.
Yes. Like I find myself saying every day, like, wow, what a beautiful pandemic day. Like, what a beautiful pandemic. Like, in spite of the pandemic, things, there's still good things happening. Like, so yeah, I chose to approach this time. So in the before time, I love that you say that, Pam, because I say that too. In the land before time. I remember it was so long ago, emotionally.
Right?
Being like, oh man, I wish I had time for this, or oh, I don't have enough time to learn this thing that's going to improve my life or my business, or whatever. Oh, I wish I had more time. And then the universe provided all of
it. It was like, here you go. You want to tie my hair?
Want the time? You have all of it now. What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
I got drunk like me. The first couple weeks, I was drunk a lot. I was drunk a lot. And in the before time, I didn't really drink, so it was exciting. I was like, hey, yeah.
You probably had like a low tolerance too. You're just like, oh, this is great.
I was cheap. I was such a cheap little drunk the first couple weeks, because I only drink all right, don't laugh at me, right? But it had a moment, and I really thought the entire culture, the entire zeitgeist was going to be on my wave. Pam, have you ever had a moment where you're like, this thing that I've just encountered, this product, this item, this food group, this whatever, this is going to be it. This is next, right?
Yep.
And nobody catches
no one caught on.
Yep. And every time you talk about it, people screw their face up like, what the fuck are you talking? That's great. So I reunited, and it felt so good, with Lambrusco from Trader Joe's.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. You better turn off this recording. You drink the Lambrusco from Trader Joe's? No, Pam, stop. Stop it. You're lying.
I wish I were lying. One of my friends introduced me to it at a wine bar like ages ago, and he was like, you have to try this drink. I was like, what is it? And he's like, Lambrusco. Oh my God. And I became obsessed. I too am a very cheap date. I don't usually drink. It tends to just make me sleepy.
I pass out now.
Yeah. And so it's like, that's not very fun. You're just like, cool, I've had a drink. Bye. I'm going to fall asleep in a laundry basket. And it's like,
yes, girl. And what I love about the Lambrusco from Trader Joe's is that it's not too dry and it's not too sweet.
yes.
Perfect. And I dub this Lambrusco. I call it Lambrubru. You know what I mean? We have a relationship, and I don't have to say its full name. It knows.
It knows.
It knows. It feels it. But yeah, I've tried all of the Lambrubrews. You know what I mean? All over the land. I've scoured it. And honestly, Trader Joe's has the best one. It's perfect. It's a perfect balance. And it's $5.
I was going to say, it's worth the haunted parking lots of Trader Joe's to get it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I spent the first few weeks drunk off Lambrusco. And then I looked in the mirror and I did a quick little move and my body kept moving in places. I was like, girl, you gotta give up your bottle check because them So I switched back to weed.
Amazing. I was like, welcome. Yes.
Switched on back to my friend, my herbal plant. And then in my house, I have a room. So back in the day, back in the NCIS days and prior, I used to personal train, right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
So look, Pam, when I graduated from Juilliard, I did Shakespeare in the Park, and then I didn't work for 9 months, right? And I hit this depression. But when I came up out of the depression, I came out and I saw, okay, all these new pounds, and the grass is green, so I guess I should work out. Yep. Well, I got a job at Equinox because Equinox's business model for personal trainers is essentially we'll take anyone off the street and
wow, that was hearty.
Yes. So I was at the Equinox the Equinox at Printing House in Greenwich Village. And there was where I learned, all about weight training and weight loss and healthy goals. And I was learning on my clients. So eventually I was they gave me all these tools. Hey, my 7 a.m. I want you to try this shit for me and see how it works.
I love that you were low-key I don't know if it's going to work. Let's find out.
I have no idea. Let's try it. And if it works for you, I'm going to use it for me because I got some things to do with my own self. This little t-shirt is hiding a multitude of sins. So from there, I got super into weight training. And I did I would do pull-ups and deadlifts and stuff. And I was really into it. And then when I got to my late 20s, I was and now I'm bored.
Yep.
So I turned 30 and I thought that I was going to, maybe take on, yachting or, I had a moment where I thought I was going to be an Olympic gold medal. I always go for gold. Olympic gold medalist in the dinghy. You know how they do the sailing?
Yes.
You could be over 30 and do that and still win. But then I was like, nah, that's dedication I don't want. And then I discovered pole dancing. And girl, I've been working that pole for almost 2 years now. So I have a pole in my room, in my house. I have a pole studio room.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes. So during the pandemic, I would go in there, smoke some weed, and work that pole. And my little dog's Candy Alizé. She's my puppy. I named her a stripper name because of my foray into
I like that she's your mascot.
Yeah, and girl, Pam, let me tell you, Candy loves me on that pole. She comes in and she's half Australian Shepherd, half pit bull.
Yes. Oh my God, it's like a floofy pit bull.
Yes. Oh my God, she's the best. So she comes in the room with her little butt and she shakes her little butt while he's dancing. And she chases me because she loves the spinning, so she'll chase me on the pole. Yes. What are you doing? And then we go in and we play.
Oh.
So I'm having a blast in my lockdown.
Please tell me there's videos of this.
Oh yeah, I think I do have some video of me and that girl. Yeah.
Oh my God.
She's showed up when I'm dancing. She'll make a little cameo, be like, "Hey girl, I want to dance with you." And it's red lights in there, and I have some sound activated LED strips. It's really cool. It's a
that is so cool. I love have you seen the FK Twigs video for Cellophane?
Girl, so at the
Oh,
time that that video came out, I was polling. So now I poll primarily alone. But when I first started polling, I love learning and I love learning from other people. So I've polled, I can say, all over the world. I polled all over the world in 1 year. I polled in Thailand, I polled in Spain, I polled all over the US. But yeah, I was polling at B Spun in Hollywood when that video came out, and it was all any of us could talk about because it's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. And the song itself is she's FKA Twigs is incredible.
yes.
Yeah.
That's really all I got on that. It's just enthusiastic. Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that blew my mind. I have so much respect for, I've not done pole, I've done aerial silks a few times.
Oh, it's so great, Pam. Yes.
Fun. Like I really, really loved it. And also just the amount of strength that goes into it was fascinating. Like feeling that I was just like, I had no idea I had those muscles in my wrists. Like things like that, where you're just like moving around and you're just like, oh my God. Like
Yes.
now when I watch pole videos, I'm fascinated and intimidated. Like I want to learn how to do it, but I also know just how much work goes into it. And I'm like, damn.
Yes. And the thing that I love too about pole and in terms of like the people that it attracts. So I've polled with like 50-year-old women
That's awesome.
who are like holding a pole between their fucking thighs. And they just started like 3 years before. Like that's what I love about pole is that like at any age, at any strength level, whatever, you can get in. And it's really just up to you how much you want to do because it is painful. Like it hurts a lot.
Right.
So, like if you're like, yeah, I'm just going to be an exotic bitch, like, yeah, exotic, you know? I'm just going to be a spin pole chick. All right, spin that pole, lady. You know what I mean? So it's just like whatever you want to do. There's so many different aspects, styles of polling. So yeah, it's for everybody.
Yeah, it's fascinating also that art of making something that in some ways is very painful. Like when you said that, I had tried the Lyra hoop thingamabobber. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a Lyra. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I had tried that at a friend's house who had one set up. And same thing where it's like even the most graceful, beautiful things on it. Like when I was trying them, I was just like, cool, cool, cool. I feel like I have like a metal rod in my spine. And my friend was like, yeah, it's because you do. You're leaning on a curved metal rod with your spine.
Fine, it's okay. It's okay. Your body's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was this really interesting cognitive dissonance of them being like, okay, how do I drape myself gracefully on this while still feeling like, oh my God, what's happening to my body?
Yep. And I gotta say too, the other like, so I everything that I do, everything that I like, do, like things that I like I practice it because I'm working on something in my mind and in my heart. And you know what I mean, in my soul. Like I'm healing something. And when I turned 30, the other reason I was attracted to pole dancing was because I realized how unsafe I felt in my sexuality and sensuality in public.
Oh,
You get me?
yep.
You get me?
Yep.
So like I when I'm out, like if I'm gonna run an errand or if I'm running several errands, in spite of how I feel when I wake up, like I'm like, oh my God, look at you. You a bad bitch today. Look at that. You know what I mean? Like your ass has high self-esteem today. Yes. Maybe you should wear some leggings. Um, you have those moments. But then I inevitably think about the consequences of these choices. You know what I mean? In
Yep.
public.
Yep.
And the lack of self-control men are socialized into not having, right? So
Yes.
when when I was thinking about that, I started thinking about when I first moved to New York and the experiences I had like walking on the street and the street harassment that
Yes.
people talk about all the time. Um, but the kind of effect that you don't really think about is the lack of safety you have everywhere in the world,
Mhm.
in spite
Mhm.
of whether you're walking on the street or you're going inside of a building.
Right.
So when I discovered pole, I was like, all right, I'm going to face down some of these like demons, these fears, these monsters, and I'm going to like make friends with these monsters. Because on the one hand, yes, I knew that I was strong. I could fucking lift my own body weight. I have videos of me lifting 200-pound men on my back and like spinning them around like little pretty babies. You know what I mean? Like that I know that I'm strong.
Right.
However, there is this weakness, this learned helplessness that I have adapted in public when it comes to the same body, the same strong body that could put a 200-pound man on my back is the same body that feels unsafe in the grocery store.
Right.
So that's cognitive dissonance that I really wanted to heal. And I wanted to do it fun, and I wanted to do it and work on flexibility, because that's something that I wanted to. So there were all these things that I was working on. So on the sensuality, sexuality, when I got into the space, you know, you're confronted with all of these mirrors and all of these women who are working on the same thing, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously. You know, we're all trying to be comfortable in our bodies and do these like moves that are hard and graceful, but also very sexual and
Right.
sensual. So for me, it was an exploration of what is sensuality for me that has nothing to do with white supremacy or patriarchy, because I am a lesbian and I'm a Black lesbian.
Yep.
So my sensuality and my sexuality has been infiltrated by my you know, socialization, by my culture. So I need to parse out what is real and what is a man's version of sexual and sexy, and what is Shalita's version of sexy, right? So that's the work that I was doing in those spaces. And then it went from, you know, working on feeling safe in doing a private thing in public, because that's what I, you know, this private exploration. I'm going to explore this private exploration in public, and I'm going to fail and learn and grow in front of people. And I'm not going to take in my projection of what they think about me, because
Right.
this is about me. So then I moved into, can you be with people but stay with yourself? So that's another way. So I grew my internal space and healed my internal space using pole dance and using the mirror. There's this thing called mirror meditation. And I would do that where, you know, I'm surrounded by mirrors and I'm working on a problem, you know, a sequence,
Yeah.
whatever. So can I be a friend to myself in this while doing this vulnerable process? So I was using mirror meditation. I love you. This is beautiful. Whenever I was out of sequence with other people, you love that. You love that. That's your body. Your body did that. That's beautiful. So that's, you know, so I'm working on that in my mind. And then, of course, you have to deal with, you know, the other bodies in the space. But what I noticed, no matter what country I was in, what studio I was in, how long I'd been there, first time, many times with a teacher, I realized that we all have the power to set the tone in whatever space we're in. When we tell ourselves we're too small, we're too this, we're too that, we're not enough, it's a lie. That's our anxiety, and it's telling us the story. And when you agree with it, yeah, you're agreeing to this story, right?
Yeah.
So I became aware of the story I was telling myself, that, you know, I'm so small and I, you know, I'm this little Black girl and no one knows me here and I don't have any, so I have to take up as little space as possible. I was like, no, I'm going to take up enough space. I don't have to take up her space.
Right.
I don't have to take up, I don't have to diminish the space. I'm going to take up enough space for myself. Right. And I noticed that whenever I was working with myself and whenever I had decided and I was in the middle of, you know, being with me, the people around me also relaxed And it gave them, like, if I was sharing a poll with someone, I never gave unsolicited advice, which is something that when I would poll with men, gay, straight, whatever, it's just their conditioning. You know, they would inevitably give me some unsolicited, and it's like, you work on your own shit. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't ask you. Like,
keep your eyes on your own page.
Get out of my process, you know?
Yes.
But, you know, when people saw that I was there for me, and the way that I'm there for me is that I love me, they felt comfortable being themselves. And I celebrate everybody because we're all stars. Like, we're all fucking light. We just like block our own shit. So if I'm finding my light and you're, you know, feeling inspired by that, then fuck yeah, bitch, get on that fucking pole. Yes. Oh my God, that was amazing. That was so much better than the last time. Look at you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and we're celebrating because we're all working on this thing together, and you're doing you for you and I'm doing me for me. So that's pole for me. So when I'm pulling here in the house and I'm fucking having it, it's like, wow, now I'm working on, can you have a practice of showing up for yourself? Right?
Yes.
That's
yes.
different.
That phrase that you said about taking up enough space.
Yes.
I was like, that is such a beautiful balance. Like, when you were talking, there were so many things that were sparking in my brain. Like, one, I was like, have you read the book Pleasure Activism?
So pleasure, I didn't read the book, but my response to 2016, I mean, the fucking, that election really changed me.
Yeah.
Because prior to the election, I too believed. So there's this PhD, Alicia, I'm gonna get you her name because she wrote this really incredible, she has this really incredible critical race theory on white supremacy and sadism. Because her estimation, like her understanding, her observation, that's what I'm looking for, her observation of, you know, these civil rights videos and you know, civil rights movement videos from the 60s, and, you know, all of the white supremacist you know, incidents in our history. When you step away from that and you take away the judgment of, you know, racist bad, they're ignorant, blah blah blah, when you step away from the narratives and you look at what a human being, what they're doing and why they're doing it. No one does something for no reason. No one does something, you know, but there was something that she observed in these police officers hosing people down, in these lynching photos, and it's pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure. So when this paper she wrote, it's incredible, and it really helped me see all the ways that I had absorbed my role in the white supremacist machine. And in 2016, that was so ever apparent. My takeaway initially, I mean, I grieved, but the grieving was because I was like, wow, all of the work that had been done, all of the people who lost their lives for rights, now we're in a moment where all of that will be upended. That was the promise. Make America Great Again was a promise to upend all of that work.
Yep.
Because that greatness is about white supremacy.
Yeah, it was about simply upholding what the ideals were underneath everything, that it's like freedom for all, except for the people that we are keeping as property.
Right. And to me, that's PR. Like, to me, I think a lot of why people are upset right now is because they're realizing what Black people have known all along, is that the American ideals are actually just American PR.
Yeah.
The imperialism of this country, that our ideals, we're democracy. When you peel back the narrative and you look at what was actually done, you know, like, that's just PR. That's just to keep us in the good graces of everyone, and also keep the people that we're oppressing from uprising, you know, like that's what that's about. So in 2016, I was like, wow, I was undone. And I was heartbroken because the work that everyone said that they were doing, it was clear that they weren't doing. So the idea of pleasure activism was floated to me, and I read a couple of articles on, this idea, and coupled that with the understanding and the knowledge that I got from Alicia, Dr. Alicia. I was like, oh, right. As an oppressed person, my role in this is to always bleed, and to bleed publicly. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, all of these conversations that are started around like what should we do, and what is it like? It's like, you're a human being. That's such a disingenuous question. So I'm supposed to sit in front of you and bleed and tell you about all the ills that have happened to my people, wrought on us by your people, this government. Like we all have a hand, we all see it, but I'm supposed to sit in front of you and just narrate this shit, orate it for you, and bleed. We're supposed to be on the videos, on social media, bleeding, crying. This is hurting us. This is killing us. Yeah, we know. Everyone knows. Yep. Everyone knows.
It's an open secret.
It's an open secret. So in 2016, I was like, fuck that. I'm not bleeding anymore. Actually, now that I have this information, what's clear to me, the path to freedom, is actually through pleasure. It's actually through loving myself. That is revolutionary. To say, like, to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm fine.
Yep.
That's revolutionary. And your friends, your family members would be like, you're not fine. How could you say, like, it inspires an anxiety in people if you're not constantly if you're not constantly producing, improving, looking at yourself and assessing all the things and all the ways in which you should be better, because the result of that is that you buy things.
I was just going to say the link to when you were talking about divesting, like, there are so many ideas that are so juicy. And like when you're talking about divesting yourself of the perceptions of white supremacy when it came to sexuality and sensuality, and so much of that relates to even self-concept, of that you have to view yourself through a lens of acceptance and love, but then in turn that makes you incredibly powerful, because you're no longer beholden to the idea of like, well, I have to be a certain way or buy a certain thing or behave a certain way to please others because I'm already pleasing to myself.
Yep. And then, girl, if you throw in there some fucking shamanship, some 4 agreements, familiar? Miguel Ruiz?
Yep.
When you make those agreements, you're indestructible spiritually. Yep. You're fucking indestructible, because you know that this is all a construct. And love is the goal, always. Love, understanding. So I made that decision. Like I made that agreement that my role is to love people. The way that I treat people is with loving kindness. And that also includes like my boundaries. Like it's only so far I can go. You know what I mean? And that's loving kindness for both of us, Yep. I'm never going to be passive aggressive, because I take full responsibility for my needs and my healing. You're not responsible. So I'm going to tell you what's going on with me. I'll make a request.
Yep.
And I'll, move on from there. Love.
Yep. And that it's fascinating to me the way that people respond to boundaries sometimes.
Yes.
And that then you can kind of look and go, okay, their actions are not my responsibility, nor are they necessarily a reflection on me.
Yes. Yes. This isn't about me. This is about them.
Yeah.
God bless them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
I'm going to go now. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? It's like, wow, that's about them. All right, cool. So I'm going to go now.
Oh, wow. When you're talking about things being an open secret, that to me is what, at least over the last like month and a half-ish, has been so fascinating to me, is that it also relates to what you said about like that now we have time. Is that to me, it's been so interesting watching how people have reacted to this round of the social uprising that we're experiencing with the overlay of the pandemic.
So there is this quote that's like, I'm totally gonna fuck it up, but forgive me.
Already forgiven.
Thank you, Pam. Okay, so it's basically like, yeah, people would much rather receive electric shocks than sit in a room with themselves quietly. And I think that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
So we've all been distracted by money, the need for money, work, the need for work, who's on this, visibility, all of this shit. This is the rat race. Oh, I got to get married and I got to have kids. I got 4 kids. Thank you. Amazing. My mom is happy. My great aunt's happy. Everyone loves me. I'm working. And then everything stops.
Yep.
And people had to be home with each other.
Yep.
And they realize like it actually, we don't get all of the work that I've done, like in my adult life. I look back and I'm like, wow, like a lot of this stuff I'm privileged to have because of my experience in theater. So with theater, you get that, you learn how to cooperate with people.
You have to.
You have to cooperate. And then you have to learn how to get your needs met, and you have to learn how to ask for things, and you have to learn how to be a giver. You have to learn what's all of that. And that's relationship stuff. And we don't get that. And everywhere in our culture is all about getting together and making a life, but no one tells you how to do it and to be happy. And so, yeah, it makes sense to me that there's so many parents that, probably spent thousands of dollars to have these kids, spent thousands of dollars on these kids. And now that they're home with them, they realize they don't really want to be parents.
Or that they don't know what to do.
And they don't know what parenting is. Yes. So, yeah, it's really upsetting. And I think, too, because of I just had this conversation with a friend about murder porn. There's this episode of South Park, the informative murder porn. That episode changed my life. I stopped watching ID because I saw myself. And I think too, we're all as a culture, we have such a steady, healthy diet of fear and numbing to violence and murder and death. And, that anxiety is just a part of our day-to-day life, the grind, all of that. So when it stops, where does that energy go? You know what I mean? That energy, you're used to this. This is your diet. And so when everything stops, yeah, it makes sense that people are out with their guns for what? You know what I mean? But they're just like, I gotta this is what I need right now. I need this. I need this. Of course, people are fucking losing their shits because of the diet that they were on. And now they're being starved. There's not a lot of content out there now, like TV, like everything is literally, we're being starved out of this toxic supply. And people are reacting. They're having withdrawals.
That's a fascinating lens with which to view it, because I was thinking of it. Oh my God. I'm like, I feel like, did you ever have a light bright as a child?
No, but I know what you're talking about. Yes.
I feel like is that each time you talk, it's a little light bulb that gets plugged in, and I'm just like, oh, they're forming such a cool pattern.
Oh shit, that's amazing. Pam, I love that. Yes.
You were making me think about when you said we're starved for content in a way, and in some ways that's so true, because sets shut down, and I know that usually, I mean, I record music in my own home, but normally I'd be recording with my friends, and I can't. So I've been making stuff on my own, and obviously I can podcast from my house, which is great. But it's there are so many things that we don't have all these external cues anymore. And after a while, it's gosh, remember Tiger King? That feels like it was a decade ago. Where it's people want to have these cultural zeitgeist moments with media, but we don't have a lot of new media because we can't make it. Yeah. And I hadn't even thought of that. And when you were talking about murder porn, it's so striking to me that like throughout other eras of human history, it's like we were almost more intimately familiar with death because we weren't separated from it in a way. Whereas now there's like this sensationalism, but we're used to that. And it's used to spark fear of like, oh, you've watched this video on your social media feed of someone dying.
Right. Right.
And I've only, and I remembered it because I had only accidentally watched one of those that popped up on my feed, and it was a few years ago, and it was so disturbing that I threw up. And like since then, like I'm very, very careful to not watch those. One, well, I don't want to throw up, but also two, I don't want to be desensitized to it. Like I think it was a natural reaction, honestly, to be that upset by seeing someone die on my computer. Like that's not a good thing to put in your brain, and to just be like, oh, look, another death on my because there's that distance.
Right.
And so, and it's so interesting to me that right now, like, and it might be because of what you said, that there's this like paucity of incoming information, that when people saw what's happening right now, it actually did hit them in a visceral way, that they were like, now I have to take action. And also there are so many people that don't have other actions they can take right now. It's
Right.
like we've told everybody to stay home with no resources to stay home.
Right. And it's like, yeah, we told everybody to stay home, but then you have the American way where it's like, oh, the people who can't stay home, the poor, right? The people
Right.
who work at the grocery stores. Oh, now we have a different view of these people that we were just shitting on like a couple months ago. They
Hmm.
are heroes. Oh, you work at a grocery store? Oh, thank you for your service. Oh my God, thank you so much. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Those people are at risk.
Yeah.
And we're all becoming numb to their death. Oh, it's just a casualty. They're heroes. Heroes die. It's okay for heroes to die. It's sad, but that's a narrative that's already ingrained in us. We're okay with that. So when you find out that mask workers in a factory, 4 of them died and 30 of them got COVID. It's like, oh,
Right.
that's so sad, but they're heroes because they were making those masks. It's just like, wow, like we're so desensitized, and these narratives that we have kind of fill in the gaps where our humanity would usually call bullshit.
Right. Right. Where it would kick in of like, well, why do people not have protective gear? Why?
Yeah. No. They're heroes. Shush, 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 Pam. They're heroes.
Right.
Shush. They're being brave. Right. So
Right.
no. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Right.
They're essential.
Yeah, the essential workers. I found that to be very strange, I guess, because also like low key, my other job is that I'm a therapist, because I ironically started this podcast to talk to people who do multiple things. And then it became another thing I did.
That's amazing, Pam. I love my therapist. So yes, that. I respect you. I respect that. That's incredible. Yes.
Thank you. It's been so interesting during this time, because a fellow therapist and I were talking about that essentially, well, word essential, we're
Mm-hmm.
essential workers who are working from home. Like we're part of the healthcare system, but are also extraordinarily privileged in that we can do our work completely remotely.
Yep.
And so it's been this really weird phenomenon where when you were talking about like, pausing and having time, in some ways I had excess time, and in some ways I had way less time, because all of a sudden any client who had ever encountered me was like, hey,
I need a moment.
hi.
I have some money for you. You're
Exactly.
okay.
Here you go. I keep joking. I'm like, there was no workshop in grad school on like how to be a therapist during a pandemic. Like no one. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, my clients are sometimes like, what do I do? And I'm like, we are all just winging it right now.
Figure it out, sweetie. Welcome to the club. You're not special, and that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. I'm like, we're all in this together, in that no one knows what's going on. But welcome.
I told my therapist, when it first started, I come from a chaotic background, right? So yes, a lot of, and I'm pretty introverted. I love like, just this is how home is where I get my energy. You know what I mean? To
Yes.
go out in the world. So I was like, okay, my only job is to stay calm. That's my job for the next few months. Oh, this happened. This fell through. We're not sure about this, whatever. Okay, just stay calm. That's my only job. It's not to fix it. Stay calm. And then we'll see. Because
I love that.
we're all in the same boat. So there's
Yeah.
no reason to fucking freak out. Stay calm.
That just stay calm. Yeah, because that's, I always found chaos really comforting as a child, strangely enough. Like I was like, oh, entropy is increasing all the time and I can't change that.
Yep.
Cool. I
Roll
guess I'll just have to sit with it.
Roll with it. Just roll with it. See where you land, Pam. Might be a good spot. That's how I think. I'm like, this could end well. This could end well. He's choking her. Okay, all right. But somebody might come. Okay.
See where it's gonna go. Yeah, and it's like, and that, because you can't necessarily, there's so many things that are outside of your control that you can only like affect change within yourself.
Yes.
It's like that's your only sphere. Like when you said like taking up just enough space, it's like that's your bubble. That's what you get to affect. And then when you're, doing good things in your bubble, it had great effect on the other people around you were talking about. And I was just like, that's a great way to essentially, I guess, lead by example. It all relates back to what you're talking about in pole class of like, then it does create an environment where people then are like, oh, maybe I'll be accountable for my stuff.
For me, yeah, absolutely. And there in that space, like, so there's this director, Jackson Gay. She gave me a note when I first started, like after college, everything. I worked with her briefly. She gave me a note that helped me so much, and it's a good note for life as well. But she said, always make the positive choice. Always make the positive choice. So the way that works in acting is this: if you make a negative choice, I'm in a scene with Pam, and my goal is to break up with her. My goal is to hurt her. My goal is to not pay her any attention. My goal is to make her feel, those negative choices, there's only so many tactics you can do, right?
Right.
So if I want to break up with you, I can tell you I'm breaking up with you. I could maybe throw something or leave. And that's it. That there's not much to go. But if my goal is, I'm going to see this through to the end, I'm going to put a smile on her face. I'm going to, if I'm making a choice that's about like moving forward and and you have infinite amount of choices now. If I want to put a smile on your face, I could do 1,000 different things, and they'll all be interesting, and they'll all be real, and they'll all be the intention to put a smile on your face, and the audience would feel that, and then it's like real, and then you have a scene and it's alive, and then the other character, Pam, she has something to react to respond.
Yes.
She's not going to smile. She's going to give me a smirk. She's going to turn her head. What are we going to do? So when I apply that to life, if I'm going to make the positive choice for me is to stay calm. Then when I am presented with, a stimuli that provokes a negative feeling, anger, fear, disappointment, if I tell myself, okay, my only goal is to stay calm, I find my calm, and then I'm able to look at that problem, that provocation, and then I have a myriad of ways that I can deal with it. Okay. If my body is still feeling stimulated by this provocation, then okay, I can invest in some self-care. I'm going to take a warm bath. I'm going to pole dance. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to play with my dog. I have so many things. And then when I approach the problem, because I'm approaching it from a space of, it's me against this problem and not I am this or this problem is my life now. This problem is the center. When I decenter it and center my calm, when I'm ready to approach a problem, then yes, I have so many ways that I could approach this. And if my goal is always for me, like I love ease and I love play. Those are my values. I always want it to be easy and I want to play. And there's work that goes into that, and it's specific work to get those things, to live in those values. So if I'm going to play with this problem, if my thing is I'm going to play, then I create 4 naturals. That's how I created my company. I had a bald spot in the center of my head. I was losing hair in the perimeter, and it was all because of white supremacy, the lack of knowledge and the disposition toward Black women in our hair,
Yes.
I had to deal with that with individuals who were living out that system, that narrative. And so I had to deal with the trauma of their choices based on the narrative that they have about someone like
About
me,
your hair. Yeah.
about my hair.
Oh my
So
God.
when I left that show, I did like 3 months of like EMDR, brain spotting, like actual somatic trauma therapy.
Yeah.
I knew that I had absorbed that trauma and it had affected the way that I looked at myself. And the fact that I absorbed those messages and that those traumas and those experiences said to me that there was an agreement in my body that was there before I even got there. And so I needed to go in and like start getting to know this pain that I was feeling.
Yeah.
And so after the 3 months of trauma therapy, I was still with my regular therapist who had suggested, that I look into EMDR. After that, my focus then was like, all right, cool. So now I still am wearing wigs on sets. I'm afraid to wear my hair. So in 2019, I was like, okay, so now you're going to heal your hair and you're going to play this game where you debunk every anti-Black stereotype about your hair, and you're going to heal it with something natural that comes from the earth. Now go. So I just like got so interested and was having so much fun with, the research. What am I going to use? And then getting interested in other people's cultures and hair cultures in other countries. And then all the while I'm coming up against, okay, I remember that time on set when my fucking hat flew off and this actor looked at me like I was, and then blamed me because we didn't get that fucking, shot of the boat that we weren't even supposed to get anyway. But they used that and said that I was a problem. Meanwhile, my character would come back and they would go up 2 million viewers. You know what I mean? But it was like, that wasn't enough. My work wasn't enough. I was always a problem. So, I'm healing and I'm playing, but I'm also like, okay, all right, we gotta process that. And what was the message that man was sending me? What was the message? And then it's like, oh, this is what he was saying. That Black hair is so much of a problem. And the fact that my hat flew off and he could see my natural hair.
Yeah.
That my hair wasn't beautiful. That my hair is not worthy for camera. And that was the message that I was getting all throughout. But there was those subtle like scenes, those moments where it was reinforced that if there was ever any doubt in my mind, there were moments where it was like, nah, this is the case. This is the case. So in my healing, I was like, all right, cool. You'll never feel like that again. And why did you agree with him? Oh, it was because my hair was dry and because my hair was brittle. And I don't have anything to help that. And so I blame the victim too. I blame myself. So when I discovered henna and Casio Bovada and, slippery elm, and I created this formula and Heal My Hair, and it's not what I'm using now. It was like very early on. I was like, wow, oh my fucking God, it's different.
Yeah.
And it was all with plants. Oh my God.
Oh,
I am of the earth. And now, Pam, I set Black women free. This treatment, they come in one way and they leave loving themselves and a little bit confused. Because they're like, what? I had this one woman in her 50s. She worked for Homeland Security. So she had the same issue that I had, on NCIS, where it was like, okay, I'm an actress. These white men are telling me that my hair is not professional, that it shouldn't, I can't wear my hair on this fucking TV show. And she was getting the same thing in real life. So she was in wigs and stuff, and her older family members had never seen her hair without it being like extended, relaxed.
Yeah.
So she flew in to see me, and her aunt had picked her up. And when she was in the chair, she was telling me a story. She was like, her aunt was like, and this aunt is like her favorite, so sweet, whatever. And she was like, what is going on with your head? Are you okay? Where are you going? Like, where am I taking? And she's like, Auntie, like, it's not that big of a deal. But to this older Black woman, seeing her niece, her favorite niece, with her afroed hair untreated in public was so scary for her based on her life experiences.
Oh, I was going to say because of how she would have been treated.
How she was fucking treated.
Yeah.
It was like, it was love and care, but it hurt her.
Yeah.
You know, like the things that she said to her hurt her. So when she woke up the next morning and she was like, okay, you know, you're going to this appointment, whatever. And so she's telling her aunt, like, you know, her aunt's like, what is she going to do? Is she going to use a relaxer? Is she going to texturize, like chemicals, right? And she's like, no, she's using plants. And her aunt was like, let's pray.
Oh.
And at the end of the prayer, she was like, if it doesn't turn out, you can always cut it off. So when she went back, her aunt was floored because her cuticles were smooth. Like I got so interested in hair because I was raised in a hair salon. My grandma's had a hair salon since before I was born in Petersburg, Virginia. And so I grew up like washing hair, like, you know, like helping out, you know, whatever. But we knew nothing about actual hair. We knew nothing about, and they were licensed cosmetologists.
Right.
So because of that, when I was doing my research, I learned about why I had the experience I had on NCIS, why every woman, you know, has the experience, and man has the experience of, you know, you go into it for a one service and you could get a variety of results depending on, you know, what salon you go to. And I'm like, why is there such a gap in knowledge, and why can't these styles and techniques, why aren't they the same across the board? Like, where's the consistency? And it's because the cosmetology board doesn't teach you how to do hair. They teach you products.
Right.
That's our education across the board. You know, like they're teaching relaxers, texturizers, color, pressing curls. They're teaching companies products. And the way they get around teaching hair is they say hair is hair. So when you go through cosmetology school, you don't learn how to detangle hair because hair is hair. And it's erasure because the hair that they're saying is hair is white hair.
I was just going to say, they're doing this on white hair.
Yes. When you do a relaxer, the only process in the cosmetology board exam, licensing exam, that deals specifically and exclusively with African-American hair, you do that process for your the cosmetology board on a mannequin with type 1 hair. How the fuck does that work?
Wow.
So you mean to tell me you could go through your entire education, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, and never touch type 4 hair? And then if you're a Black stylist who wants to do Black hair, essentially you go through school, and the foundation of your business, most of those services you don't even learn. So most of the foundation of Black hair care is all experience and apprenticeship. It's all luck and just learning on the go.
Yeah.
It's not formalized. So when I got that, I was like, oh, right. Okay. So it's not willful ignorance in the sense that they know this stuff and they just like put it out of their mind. Nobody fucking knows.
Yeah, I was like, it's one of those situations of like, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh.
Yes. So I was like, oh, okay. So let me just teach myself cosmetic chemistry then, because that actually deals with hair. So I learned about porosity. I learned about, you know, the 3 layers of a hair strand and why hair looks like it does and why we struggle with the moisture issue, curl definition, you know, the proper detangling. So I did all of this fucking research and streamlined it into a treatment. And this is what I teach. It's not just the treatment, it's also the method, right? So I have them record, you know, hey, this is how you properly detangle your hair. These are the things that you use, all natural, things that come from your cupboard. You no longer need to go to a store. And the beauty of this treatment and the way that henna works, especially for type 4 hair, is that you can now be product agnostic. Every product will work the way that it's intended to work because the condition of your hair
now
is
work for the
improved.
product. Well, and
So
also it's fascinating to hear you talking about this in a way that it would then empower people to not take in that narrative of I'm the problem. Because, like,
Absolutely. Because that was my goal. When I saw what this treatment did to my hair, I was like, now I'm going to set every Black woman free. And I'm going to heal the Black hair salons. And I'm going to heal white hair salons because white people should know how to do this hair. And it's so easy. It's so easy. So, COVID messed up the fall 2020 launch for Four Naturals. But the goal fall 2021, I'm in manufacturing. I'm with MC Group, Sister Scientist. She's one of like 3 Black cosmetic chemists in the country. And so when they saw my formulas, they jumped me ahead by a year because they haven't worked with these ingredients. They haven't seen anything like this before. And they were really excited about it. So they jumped me ahead by a year. While we didn't make fall 2021 because of COVID, fall 2020, we'll make fall 2021. And this treatment will be available nationwide, and stylists will go through a workshop to learn how to properly make. And here's the thing, I'm growing Black women's hair. Pam, my hair is down the middle of my back. It's the longest my hair has ever been. I can straighten it with a flat iron. I received no damage. Like, my life with my hair is completely different. And I'm progressing women's hair, getting it thicker, getting it stronger, getting it longer. You want curl definition? This is giving you permanent curl definition. And it's really just something you do once a month, once every other month, just to give your hair a nice good, and it's permanent. It stays on. So every treatment you're building on. There's nothing offered to us hair-wise that every treatment you get, you can over-process it. You could process over what you processed last time. It's going to benefit your hair. So when we look at the Indian community, and we're like, oh my God, their hair is so gorgeous. What I learned was that they henna their children's hair every weekend. It's part of the culture. Every weekend we henna. So I was like, oh, okay, perfect. I'm going to make it so that we can do it in hair salons and get the time down and, get the henna cured and everything. But yeah, now we can all benefit. White, Black, Hispanic. I'm doing everybody, but it's marketed for type 4 hair. But anybody could use this. It's henna. Anybody could use it and benefit.
That is so cool. Yeah. I hope that no one else has to feel how you felt, that you felt like you had to go along with a narrative that you were the problem. Because I'm like, you weren't. Your hat came off your head. That can happen to anybody.
Yep.
It's not your fault. You're not in control of all hats. And so like
or even this one, I loved this one. Same person. We were doing a scene and it was raining. And so the scene was like me and like 2 of my castmates. We like walk into this restaurant and we're like questioning people. But then outside, the suspect is on a skateboard and they get hit by this car. So it's a stunt, but it was raining, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we had to do the cross, I told this producing director, I was like, hey, you're going to have to like blow dry my hair if we're going to walk in this rain. Like, can we just like walk under the awning? And, true to form, oh no, it's too hard to walk on. We can't figure it out, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, fine, whatever. So then, my hairstylist was like, yikes, like we can't get her hair wet. But my white co-stars were in the same predicament because they have hair too that responds to water by getting wet. So they would have to get their hair blow dried too. So it was like all 3 of us, but I raised the issue first, you know what I mean? Whatever. So we ended up not being able to finish the scene because we couldn't do the stunt. Because of the rain, because it was too dangerous. The car wasn't going to be able to stop because it was skidding because the road was wet.
Yes.
It got back round and I'm sitting in this person's face and they're telling me how big of a problem I am for them and for everyone else. And they bring up that day. Yes, such and such told me that, you were the reason that we had to reshoot that. And I was like, what? Hold on, go back. What is this? And he's like, yeah, because of your hair, we couldn't shoot that scene. So we had to and I was like, no, it wasn't. Because while I was, taking the shit, I was also standing up for myself. But in a lot of ways, standing up for yourself makes you even more of a problem. You know what I mean? So it's like they come at you even harder because they think you can take it. But it's like, no, it's just that I'm not, it's just me. I'm just going to say what I got to say.
Exactly.
So I was like, no, I wasn't the only actor. There were 2 white actors that also needed their hair blow dried.
Yep.
And he had to eat it.
Yep.
And I also was like, and another thing, you could check the actual notes. We stopped because we couldn't do the stunt. That was the conversation on set. It wasn't hair, it was the stunt. So it was like shit like that. Black girls can't get their hair wet. That's the anti-Black myth. Yep. So he was sitting in front of me, you know, condemning me for my Blackness and my hair's aversion to water, because that's what he fucking knows. So with 4 Naturals, I was like, oh, I'm going to heal my relationship with water. So now when you have a 4 Naturals treatment in your hair and you have type 4 hair, your hair curls and hangs when it encounters water. It doesn't stand up and frizz.
Wow. Because I remember when I was a little kid, I'll never forget this. One of my friends from like way early on in elementary school was Black, and she always had her hair in cute little puffs, and she had these elastics that had little plastic balls on the end, like really colorful. And I didn't know what they were called, so I called them booly balls. No idea why. I was like 5. That name made sense to me. But I thought they were really cool.
I call them bobos. Everyone calls them whatever.
And like, I remember that, you know, before we went swimming, our rituals were that her mom would do her hair, but then my mom would have to slather me in an insane amount of sunscreen.
Right.
And so it's like we each had our like pre-swimming rituals.
Yes, to take care of your body.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, and it's like, I'm so glad that you're developing what you are, because it's like, I at that time had no narrative of shame around either of those activities. And knowing now that it's like, as an adult, knowing that like potentially like my tiny friend would have been shamed for that, or would have felt like something was wrong with her. Whereas putting sunblock on me was seen as like, oh, that's normal.
Health.
Yeah. And I'm like, why wouldn't both of those be seen as, oh, you're taking care of your child's body?
Yeah, it's shame. Everything is shame. And you know what? Well, I'll say this. White supremacy and hair, that's everybody. Like everybody's gotten it in this country when it comes to hair, because hair is a part of assimilation. It's how you are assimilated. So if you look at the early aughts of this fucking country and what they did to the Native Americans in the assimilation schools, they cut off their hair.
Yeah.
Part of becoming white. And then fast forward 50s, 40s, 60s, around the when we had all of the Chinese immigrants in San Francisco, they would cut their queues, those long ponytails, cut that hair. That's part of being white. That's part of being in this country. And for Black people, we are dismissed from school, jobs, because of our hair. You're not allowed to wear your hair as it naturally comes out of your head, because it's unprofessional and it's distracting.
Yeah. And it goes back to what you were saying about like when you're even going to the grocery store and being comfortable in your own body, and that cognitive dissonance that you were talking about of like, I can lift a 200-pound person above my head.
Yes, on my back, not above my head, but on my back. Yeah.
I'm getting ambitious.
I'd be like, she's a liar. Go ahead, though.
It's hilarious. I'm like, get him up there.
Higher. I see you, Pam. You got kids. You got that mom. Higher.
Go. No, I fulfill in my friend group, I fulfill the crazy aunt role really well.
Me too, Pam. Ain't nobody coming out of here. I'm too little for that. Yes. No,
that is my thought exactly. I'm like, yes. I still wear children's clothes sometimes because
me too.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tell you a secret. So look.
I'm leaning in.
All right, girl, look. So look, here's the truth, right? I'm really only 4'11", okay? but I tell a consistent story that I'm 5'1", you know what I mean? So I don't know why the internet has that 4 on, you know what I mean? That's bullshit, because I've been consistent for the last like 4 years that it's 5'1". But quiet as it's kept, yes, I actually only made it to 4'11". My body quit.
Oh, that is so funny. I like that you're just like, and I was really consistent with saying 5'1",
I'm so
and yet
picture when you Google, I'm like, who put this shit up here? I did not say who did this? How do I
I
get
did
it
not
removed?
consent.
I did not consent to this. How do I get this removed?
Oh my God, that is so funny. I'll never forget, it was a music reviewer, blogger person that met me once at a show, and like I, played a show and then like came off stage, and they said to me, they're like, I just expected there to be that, like more of you.
You motherfucker.
So I was just like in my like 3 Pams and a trench coat. Like, I don't know what you were anticipating.
People just have no idea. Oh, they got no clue.
Seriously, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, what did you say to that? More. What did you say?
I looked at him kind of askance and I said, like a multiplicity?
You smart broad. Yes, you did say that. Yes, you did. Yeah, and what did he do? Screw up his face. What is multiplicity?
Yeah, exactly. Then he was the one that was confused. And I was just like, excellent. I have proceeded to baffle you. Now I can disappear into the ether.
Yes, with my short ass. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's so funny. And it's like the perception that we have of ourselves, of like that your body's not acceptable, or that, someone might want more of you, or that all of a sudden your hair is a problem. And you're just like, wait, no, I'm just navigating the world being myself. Like,
but thank you for telling me how uncomfortable you are with yourself.
yes.
I would never make a comment like that because I love myself and I'm comfortable with myself. I would never do that.
Yeah.
But thank you for telling me who you are.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go now.
In this time of, I do feel like everything came to this weird inflection point of change, where I'm like, okay, there's like no going back now. I don't know what's coming next, but like, I don't think that it's a rewind.
Yeah, you can't put crazy back in the bottle, I mean, I ain't calling you a name, not never, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
You can't put that shit back in it. You can't unring a bell. And so once you see it for what it is, yeah, you just gotta figure out how you adjust, but you know that you can't go back. There's no way of going back.
Nope. Yeah. And thinking about, I'm so curious. Basically, I keep journaling about like, what's it going to look like in a year? Because I journal anyway, but I've been trying to keep up my practice during this whole experience. And I can see even in my own journaling how rapidly things are changing. Like I look back at my journal from even a month ago and I'm like, that looks like a different person. Or I looked back at my journals from the start of March and I was like, that was a different existence. That's fascinating. Like what's going to happen next?
So who have you been becoming? I'm curious now.
I feel like I've really leaned into who I really was the whole time, but had felt a lot of the pressures of outside narratives to temper in certain ways that now I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I think before I was more stressed out about how to structure my time based on, well, what income do I want? Or what will people perceive of the things that I enjoy? Or will I be seen as competent? Now I'm just like, like people hopefully enjoy what I'm doing, but at the very least, I want to enjoy what I'm doing.
Yes. Oh my God, Pam. Yes. I'm like, yes, absolutely. Because it just sounds like, yeah, like you've been paying attention to yourself.
Yes.
In a different way.
Yes.
Amazing. Because the thing that came up for me too when I was listening to you, because the question that came up was like, yeah, so like, yeah, like, yeah, she's seeing all this stuff, and you know, I'm vibing with you because yeah, same, same. Um, and and like, you know, hanging out with people and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, for who though? Yeah, because why? Why were we doing this? And the thing that came up was like, right, because no one's coming. And I think that that's like the biggest lesson of this fucking pandemic and our leadership. No one's coming.
Nope.
No one is coming.
Yeah, there's not going to be like, and I think in some ways when you're talking about the 2016 election, it's like people want like a strong man or a father or in some ways a bully. Like they want someone so badly to come and be like, this is how you do things. This is not how you do things. Follow these rules. And it's almost like people want someone to follow, almost like a demagogue in that way. And it's like, no one's showing up.
No, no, no. And the beauty of what I heard from you was that, like, yeah, you invested in that. Because the other side of no one is coming is no one's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You can do what the fuck you want to do. Why wasn't I fucking buying velvet curtains before? Who the fuck was I think coming here? Like, well, what would he gonna do? This is my whole life. This is me. This is my life. No one is coming.
No one's coming. I don't know what stopped me in the 15 years that I've owned my home from investing in window coverings that I actually like.
Right?
What's stopping me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's little choices like that it's like, that's so liberating in a way that like no one's coming. So it's on you.
Yes.
And in some ways, like, that's a really good thing. That means
it's
you can
a great thing. You can do whatever you want. You can solve this however you want. Because it's just going to be you.
It's going to be me. Yeah, like it's fascinating when people start taking agency. And I think that that's been for me at least the biggest change. And it sounds like for you, it's, you know, it's given you so much space to play with these problems that you've talked about. And I love that attitude, by the way, that you're like, how can I play with a problem? I'm like, what a cool reframe. Like,
how do I play with the problem? Because you know what? I got really into games like in 2018.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I realized like, and you know, cooperative games, you know, those cooperative board games,
Mm-hmm.
that's really like the best. That's playing at a healthy relationship. You know, you're playing at having a healthy relationship because the cooperative games is like, how do we as a group solve this problem, get to this land, not die? You know, and how do we solve this together as opposed to traditionally where it's like me against you. I have to get here before you do. That's divide and conquer. And what I love about cooperative games is that they are kind of anti-racist in that they are about defining and empowering. From that speech, the master's tools will not dismantle the master's house.
Right.
She posits that you can't approach freedom work with divide and conquer. You can't approach freedom work and say we have to fire these people and kill these men and kill these da-da-da. That is just the master's tools, divide and conquer. No. You define and you empower. So going back to Cole, I defined my own problems with myself. And I empowered myself to make a different choice. So healing, like a definition of healing that I love is healing is really just a different experience. So if I'm used to, you know, being hit in this situation, the healing is in the same situation, I don't get hit. That's healing. Very basic. So for me, it was like, I'm going to empower myself to love myself in public. And then that empowered other people when they saw me doing weird shit in the corner and not giving a fuck. They were like, oh, I can do weird shit in the corner too. Oh my God. And it's everybody free. You know what I'm saying?
That is exactly, I love that because some people react. I've noticed for lack of a better way of saying it, the fewer fucks I give, I get one of two reactions. Either other people around me are like, oh, my field of fucks, it is fallow too. How exciting.
I love that. Thank you. A fallow field of fucks.
Exactly. They're just like, oh, how exciting. Or there are other people who almost like double down initially on their fear.
when people see you being free, it's provocative
Yeah.
because it brings up, like, pretty sharply, their their decision that they can't be free. So it's like, who the fuck do you think you are?
And that feeling of, like you said, being so deep in their agreements in that they have to be stifled, that they have to play into whatever values. And now it's like, I keep joking that like quarantine times, I'm like, now we know those things are a lie. Like, but
Yes.
you can make the choice to invest in something else.
Yeah, you could actually work from home. That was all bullshit. I hope that, what we all, like, as Americans, like, what we take away from this is that we just don't want to do this anymore. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
What I mean? Like, I just hope that people lean into, and especially going into the second lockdown, because a lot of states are locking down again.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I'm hearing things like in the media that I wasn't used to hearing. Like, people are afraid now because they see, like, oh, this is not going away, and we're going to shut down again, and it's just like getting worse. But we have to, because I don't want to get sick and I don't want to lose any. So there's like, now it's just, the conversation is different, and we all know that it's going to get worse. So
Yeah.
I hope that at the end of this, that we're all in agreement that the way that the road that led us here was, a road that we all paved with our being numb to the human condition, and us choosing capitalism over human life.
Yeah.
Because that's how we got here. You look at these other countries that have strong social support networks, like strong social safety nets.
Yeah.
And they're using the capital, for the people. For the most part, all governments have their shit, but for the most part, the people's needs, their basic needs, are taken care of.
Yeah.
But not here. And it's because of our rhetoric. It's because of our pull them up by the bootstraps, and you don't be lazy, and the American dream, and all this shit. But there's so many holes, and people fall in the gaps, and we're so used to blaming the victim because we have all of these success stories, all of these exceptions that prove the rule, actually.
I was gonna say that's why there are exceptions.
Yes.
That's
Yes. Because the rule is,
yep.
go fuck yourself.
Yep.
You're only valuable in so much as you have value to the powers that be. So if we look at the currency of time, like the currency of time, McDonald's, as a McDonald's worker, a fast food worker, you have agreed that your hour is only worth $8, right?
Right.
However, the company that you're working for is $1 billion company.
Yeah.
They have also decided that your time is only worth $8.
Yep. Yep. And you're like, okay, yeah, I go along with that.
And then we go into this pandemic, and all of a sudden you are essential.
Yep.
Right? And now people have this currency of time. And now they realize how important that currency actually was. And that $8, $40, $60, $100 is actually not enough, like, capital for that time. Because now that we're all sitting at home, we realize, whoa, I've been spending my time in the wrong place, working on the wrong problems.
Yeah. And thinking about that, in the end, it's like time is the only resource that you have, because it's something that you can't get it back once you spend it.
No, you don't. You can't, and you don't. So I'm just hoping that, like, listen, guys, America, can we just all agree that we should all live, and not just like certain people? Because that's where we get hung up. Whenever it's like, hey, we should, like, extend these rights to everyone. That's when oh, no. Oh, no. What about the lazy people? What about the people who are taking advantage? What about, and so all it's like, oh, no. It's like, come on, guys, let's stop this shit. Everybody gets it.
Yep.
And let the whatever policy enforcement, whatever, let them deal with it. But let's not put the cart before. Let's not say that malfeasance is happening and we ain't even got the shit yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how you even know? We ain't even there yet. You know, like you're just stopping the thing.
That was the worst case scenario. 1 out of 100 people might be lazy. Okay.
Yes, yes. And listen, that's happening right now, and they got jobs. You work with them people, and they getting paid. They lazy as fuck. So whatever, it doesn't matter.
I'm like, everyone's worked on a group project and seen, that regardless, there's going to be someone who's not going to pick up their end, and that's just the way it is.
What about you?
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. What about you? Why are you worrying about other people? Worry about yourself. If you want to change yourself. If you want love, change yourself. If you don't want to be a lazy person, change yourself. You don't be, you know what I'm saying? Like, focus on yourself. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these people, we all talk about voting against your own self-interest. Yeah, that's what it becomes. Because you're so focused on Black, immigrant, whatever, not getting, that you keeping yoururself from getting it, and you fucking need it too. So what the fuck are you doing? Let's stop it. You know what I mean? Like, stop.
Yep.
And we all agree, we all have a right to live. And that way, when the shit goes down, we're good. And nobody has to fucking freak out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But we'll see.
I was going to say, I'm just like, I think that's like a great note to close on of like, hey, you want change? Change yourself.
Be the change you want to see.
Exactly. Oh my God. I'm just like, I want to keep talking for hours, but that's also
I know, girl, I gotta go. But I had fun talking to you, girl. This is great.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure. And I hope that you stay safe and continue to do amazing things with hair and with pole. And I really want to see a video of your dog.
Yeah, I might send you some, Pam.
Yeah. Thank you again for listening to this episode of Why Not Both. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like us and subscribe to us on your preferred podcast platform. You can also come hang out with us on social media. We are at WNB the podcast, both on Instagram and on Twitter. This season, we are brought to you by Under the Radar magazine. Under the Radar is a nationally distributed print, music, and entertainment magazine and website. You can find them at www.undertheradarmag.com and feel free to support them on Patreon. Extra special thanks to our producer, Laura Studeris, who is literally a rock star. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you next episode.